Good morning. My name is Ria. I'm a compulsive overeater and bulimic. Thank you all for joining me this morning. Speaking of step 11, I'm just going to put a plug-in for meditation because of events in Israel last night. I completely forgot that I was leading a meeting this morning. And in my meditation, my eyes flew open and I was like, oh my God, I'm doing a thing this morning. So that needs, so meditate, guys. It works. Anyway, so let's jump into step 11, but before we do that, we're going to do what we always do, which is a quick review of the other 10 leading up to it, because these steps don't happen in a vacuum. So step 1, we admitted we were powerless, that our lives had become unmanageable. We come to a place where we realize that our ability to control our eating, we're powerless to control our eating, and we're powerless to control our lives. The acknowledgement and concession to that powerlessness is the foundation for the rest of the other steps. If I have not made that, by the way, that's Matilda. She's also a compulsive overeater. If you have not made that concession, if we have not made that concession to ourselves, we do not have a foundation on which to build the rest of the steps. And a lot of people have to take their time with step 1. They're not sure. It took me 2 years before I figured it out. But unless I have that, I've smashed the delusion that I can be like other people, not only in terms of the way that I eat, but the way that I live. I'm this other steps, I'm sort of building a sandcastle that's going to get washed away. Anyway, step 2, now that we've acknowledged our powerlessness, it says in the big book, as we discussed in a previous workshop, lack of power, that was our dilemma. So if our problem is a lack of power, then we need a different power to help us. So I know that I can't get the power for myself, because believe me, I've tried. And not just in terms of controlling the food, even in terms of improving myself as a person. I remember being like, okay, I'm not going to gossip. I'm going to be a serene, comfortable person. And, I couldn't do it. As much as I wanted to be a better person, and not just so people would think I was a better person, I genuinely wanted to be a better person. I had no power over that as well. And I also wanted other people to do things the way I wanted them to do, because then I would feel better, but they never did it, which was really annoying. So I'm just powerless in general. Fine. If I am powerless in general over my own life, then I need to find a power that's not me to overcome this compulsion and to learn how to live. Because as we know in the book, this is not a food problem. This is a living problem. This is a thinking problem. The problem starts in my brain. So if I can't control that, I need something outside of me, which is why I start developing that relationship. And in order to do that, I have to clear out all the things that are blocking me. I have to make the decision to do things differently from here on out. That's step 3. And I have to start cleaning out the inventory. That's 4, 5, 6, and 7, making amends, 8 and 9. And 10, we continue with the work that we started back with step 3, which we did last month. And now we're building on that, because in step 10, it talks about the idea that we're building our God consciousness, but we have to go further, and that means more action, right? That's page 85. So now we're looking at the bottom of page 85, the last paragraph on 85, the last 2 lines, okay? Step 11 suggests prayer and meditation. So there's suggestions, because here's the deal, right? The alcoholics who wrote this book, Bill Wilson and the First 100, know they're dealing with alcoholics. So they're not going to tell alcoholics, you should do this, because they know that no one's going to listen to them. Because alcoholics only like plans that are their idea. That's why I resisted OA for so long, because it wasn't my idea. Once I get to a point where I realize that none of my ideas are going to work, I'm willing to try something different. But these AAers know we have to make gentle suggestions, and it's all you. It's your choice whether or not you do this. Well, okay, you can also choose to put on a parachute or not when you jump out of a plane. So it's a suggestion. You can take that or not, your choice, okay? So step 11 suggests prayer and meditation. We shouldn't be shy on this matter of prayer. Better men than we are using it constantly. It works if we have the proper attitude and work at it. I love that sentence, because I've seen people who have like really rich prayer lives who can just like start spouting off prayers, and they're really comfortable with it, and they have this like consistent flowing dialogue with their higher power. That is not me. It is like I have to work at it. I have to get out of my comfort zone, push myself, look for the words. It's interesting for me because as many of you know, I'm a writer by profession. Words are my job. I can write anything I'm thinking, but when it comes, and I can even speak, obviously. But when it comes to prayer, I get that it's very hard for me because I think partly it's so vulnerable and because like, I don't know, what if it doesn't work? But the truth is, if I work at it and I keep moving forward, it's like a muscle that gets stronger and stronger. So the point now where I can really just do it. Also, here's the thing with prayer too. It's totally uncool. Like I want to listen, one of my things is being cool, right? I just want to be cool. I want to be the coolest guy in the room. I want everyone to think I'm cool. And like praying is so dorky, right? Like like I'm not like being spiritual is cool, but like praying, that's a totally different thing. I'm not like religious, like I just want to be spiritual but cool, And prayer prayer is tough, but it's acknowledging that there is something else at work that is not me. And I hate that because my ideas are the best ones. And I don't understand why everybody just doesn't get on board with me. Whatever. Anyway, it would be easy to be vague about this matter. Yet we believe we can make some definite and valuable suggestions. So they're going to give very clear suggestions right now on how to do this. It's not this vague woo-woo kind of like, just pray, just follow your instincts, follow your heart. No, this is what you're going to do. This is how you do step 11, okay? When we retire at night, we constructively review our day. So these are the daily review questions that are often confused with step 10. A lot of people say I did my step 10 at night. That's actually not accurate. These are step 11 questions. So when we do a step 10, sorry, hold on. Okay, sorry, got a little distracted there. Okay, so when we do our quick turnarounds, when they talk about in step 10, we continue to take personal inventory, set right any new mistakes, all that. That's when we call someone and do the spot checks and do those quick little turnarounds that we talked about last week. This is specifically the step 11 structure that we are encouraged and suggested to do at night before we go to sleep, okay? And I will be fully transparent with you. I am not consistent with this, okay? Were we resentful, selfish, dishonest, or afraid? Those questions are familiar. We looked at them in our fourth step. So by now that we're doing our step 11, we have this practice down. We know where to look for where we're resentful, selfish, dishonest, or afraid. And by now, since we've done this practice so many times, we should be able to say, oh, yeah, that's where it was. That's what I did. Okay, that's where the fear came up. That's where I didn't quite tell the truth. That's where this person pissed me off. That's where I was really thinking about myself. This is a muscle, just like prayer, that we have to continue working because this is the stuff that gets in our way, okay? Do we owe an apology? Have we kept something to ourselves, which should be discussed with another person at once because complete honesty is the foundation of this program. Were we kind and loving toward all? 99% of the time, my answer to that question is no. But we try because it's progress, not perfection, right? What could we have done better? Were we thinking of ourselves most of the time? Or were we thinking of what we could do for others, of what we could pack into the stream of life? These questions are meant to be constructive. They are not the hammer with which we beat ourselves. They are not the wood on which we hang ourselves. Do not do that because somebody needs the wood for something else, okay? But we must be careful not to drift into worry, remorse, or morbid reflection, for that would diminish our usefulness to others. Remember, the goal of these steps, it says in step 12, having had a spiritual experience as the result of these steps. They're not saying a result, they're saying the result, which means that the goal of this process is to have a spiritual experience. It's not just, I want to feel better, I want to get thin, I want to restore my relationships, I want to have a good job. All of those things are pleasant byproducts of this, but really what we're doing is outfitting ourselves to be of use to God. We are instruments that need to be sharpened, and that's what this process is about. Now, in the beginning, when someone said that to me, yeah, we're here to become God's instruments, I was like, get out of here. I just want to wear a size 2 and be cute. That's literally it. I do not need to be anybody's instrument. I don't need God. I certainly don't need to pray. I just need people to think that I'm attractive. That's literally it. Then I got to that place and realized that I hated everyone and especially myself. So I needed another way to live because otherwise, even if I was terrified at some point, living like that was so unbearable, I would have to go back to eating compulsively or I would just kill myself. And they say that in the book that we can either go on as we did, blotting out our experience to the bitter end, or accept spiritual help. So I can either continue going the way I'm going, either eating or absolutely being miserable, because they talked about the bedevilments on page 52. Those things that they talked about, we can't control our emotional natures. We were having trouble making a living, all of those things exist whether we're eating or not. Okay. In fact, they probably get a lot worse once we take the food away because now we're unmedicated. Okay. So if we don't want to live like that, we have to turn our minds to, okay, I have turned my will and my life over to you, God. Just do with me as you will, because every time I try to do it as my will, I end up in trouble. I end up in a 12-step program. This is what my best thinking got me. Okay. I'm in recovery now because, it's like my best thinking got me in jail. That's about it. So we have to get to this place where we're willing to say, okay, this isn't even about me. My recovery isn't even about me anymore. It's about making myself an instrument for use of something greater than myself. That takes a lot of work, but the more I see my patterns throughout this process, and the more I see the damage that they do, and when I start seeing the miracles that occur, when I start cleaning it up, the more the idea of becoming an instrument and working this program and following this path becomes more and more attractive. Because it's exciting, it's miraculous. My life is richer in a way that I never could have imagined or anticipated for myself. Because if it were up to me, I'd be in LA right now, probably throwing up and winning Oscars and dating all these famous people and being miserable. But that was what I would have wanted. And I heard somebody very smart say, if I got everything that I wanted for myself, I would have shortchanged myself a million times. So this is not about me. This is not about me. Okay. So after making our review, we ask God's forgiveness and inquire what corrective measures should be taken. There is no room for self-pity here. There is no room for, oh, woe is me, I'll never get anywhere. No. Okay, we see a problem. God, I'm really sorry that I did this. Please point me in the direction of a solution. We are not here to get stuck in our own crap. We are here to say, okay, I made a mistake. Mistakes happen. I'm a human person. I'm doing the best I can. Because remember, only step one is the only step that we have to do perfectly. The rest of them is progress, not perfection. We have to do our best and we have to put in everything we've got, but we're never going to do any of these things perfectly. So instead of beating myself over the head over it because I didn't do it perfectly, I say, listen, I did my best. I screwed up. I'm really sorry. Please show me how I can fix it. And then we move on. Because otherwise I'm going to live in that circle, and we know where that circle goes, down the drain. Okay. On awakening. So this is what we do at night. Now we're talking about what we do first thing in the morning. Okay. On awakening, let us think about the 24 hours ahead. We consider our plans for the day. We do not plan our day. We consider our plans, right? Because plans are set in stone. When we consider something, it's subject to change. Because I may say, I'm going to do this, this, and this today. Last night I was like, okay, I'm going to go to bed early, and then I'm going to get up at like 5, like I usually do, and do my meditation and prayer and blah, blah. And then I was up at midnight looking on the news because there were ballistic missiles coming from Iran. So plans change. And I let myself sleep until 7 a.m. 7? Yeah, whatever it was. So, plans change. Before we begin, okay, so this means they're not saying get up, go to the bathroom, check your email, have a cup of coffee, talk to a few friends, and then come around. They're saying on awakening, as soon as you wake up, do not engage with others until we have done this, because otherwise we are dangerous, okay? Before we begin, so the first thing we do, we ask God to direct our thinking, especially that it be divorced from self-pity, dishonest, or self-seeking motives. Why? 2 reasons. First of all, our thinking is what gets us in trouble, right? And I'm not just talking about the food. I'm talking about my ideas. If only this one would do this. I'll give you an example, okay? We had, I'm in a in-person group here, and there was a little bit of a discussion this morning about whether or not this meeting is in line with the traditions and whether or not I can share it. My best thinking is I'm going to cut a bitch, I'm going to take my rings off. That's it. Let's go. That's my best thinking. When really it's, okay, well, what's for the greater good of the group here? What is the goal here? If I'm God's instrument, is my goal to cut a bitch? No, it's not. It's to create a safe space, communicate clearly and gently, not get involved in drama, because as my sponsor says, my abstinence is 3 meals a day and no drama, and to focus on what the goal is here, which is to help others. Getting involved in drama is not is not the best thinking, and it's not how I'm going to be the most effective. So because I had asked God to already direct my thinking, I was able to handle a situation which used to baffle me, because people not agreeing with me or calling me out on something used to terrify me. Like, oh my God, people might not like me now. Now I'm like, I'm really not interested whether or not you like me. Can I help you? If you want me to help you, I'm here. If you don't want me to help you, that is so fine, vaya con Dios. And if you ever want me, you know where to reach me. Thanks. That's literally it. That's not me. That is not me. Okay. But that's what this process does. It takes me out of myself, gets me away from my own goals, and says, I am being outfitted to be God's instrument. So how can I be the most effective? Right. So it's not about self-pity. It's not about dishonesty or self-seeking motives, because those are what got me in trouble and in conflict with other people. As we saw in the third step, when we talked about the actor, this is somebody who looks at the play and says, well, we need to fix that and fix that and fix that and fix that. And we need to change that. And you need to do that. And you need to do that. And we need to change the lights. And I think I should be the star. And everybody hates you. That's what happens. Okay. And you're like, why does anybody want to hang out with me? That's why. Okay. That's the reason. So if I don't want to be like that anymore, I need help, because my default setting is, it's me. It's all about me. You know that Taylor Swift song, it's me, I'm the problem, it's me. That's she's singing about me. Okay. Okay. You guys didn't know you were getting a concert today. Okay. Under these conditions, we can employ, or can I help you? This is REA. Okay. Under these conditions, we can employ our mental faculties with assurance, for after all, God gave us brains to use. Okay. So here's the thing, right? There is a reason we're not supposed to get rid of our will or our logic or our best thinking. We are intelligent people mostly. Okay. There are some people who are some real humdingers. We don't need to talk about them. I'm talking about people with like intelligence, right? You're all intelligent people. You were intelligent enough to come to a meeting, intelligent enough to read this book, and intelligent enough to understand what it's saying. So we need our logic, we need our intelligence, and we need our abilities. The problem in the past was that we directed these things toward our own ends. Now, if we direct them and we use them rightly, if we align our will and our best thinking with God's will, all of a sudden we're using those things in the right way, and we're not in conflict with other people. We're not in tension. We're not in drama. We're not in any of those things. Our thought life will be placed on a much higher plane when our thinking is cleared of wrong motives. So in other words, God's going to meet us halfway. I'm going to say, listen, I'm not really capable of running this thing myself. I certainly can't change my own mind. So I'm going to ask you to do it. Now, I could leave it at that and hope that something happens. But God comes in and says, listen, let's go. God's a gentleman. God only comes where he's invited. So if I don't ask, God's not going to push anything on me. God will make suggestions, but I don't have to take them. So for me, if I say, listen, I really want to do your will today, but I get caught up in the self-pity, dishonest, and self-seeking motives. Can you clear my brain? And God says, sure. And I'll help you out. I'll show you what to do. And it happens. But it's, again, a practice we have to do every day. It's not something that we do once and then it's all set. We do this every single day, because otherwise my default setting is going to come back, and that little voice is going to come back and say, Ria, you're not getting what you deserve. That guy's a jerk. Your husband is not pulling his weight. Your children are ungrateful brats, and you should treat yourself. Treat yourself. No. Okay? No. Now, let's continue. Bottom of page 86. In thinking about our day, we may face indecision. Indecision is terrifying to me. I want to know what to do, and I want to know what to do it now. And I want to know what's going to happen every day until I die. Like, just give me, like, I don't know why God doesn't send, like, you know, those group emails that they send out like once a month, those newsletters that are like, okay, this is happening, and then we're going to do that. Don't understand why God can't just throw me a bone. Like, this is what's going to happen. This is what your son's going to say. This is whatever. I'm not in management, unfortunately, because I would run things very differently. But the point is, I have to sort of face each instance as it comes, right? So we may not be able to determine which course to take. Here we ask God for inspiration and intuitive thought or a decision. We relax and take it easy. We don't struggle. Oh my God. Okay, so this week, I decided, I got it in my brain that my children, two of my sons and I, deserve to go to America for 2 weeks this summer. My middle is a very talented athlete. He does parkour, for those of you who know parkour. And my younger one just really misses his best friend in America. So I was like, you know what? You guys deserve to go and visit and go to this special camp and go see your friends. And I'm going to see my best friends because you are just special little children and you deserve the world, right? That's what moms think. We think these things. They don't deserve crap. That's the truth. I gave them life. That they got it all already. But that said, this week I was going to buy the tickets. And there was an extra part of the trip that I was thinking about adding on. My kids and I had already discussed it. I was going to go see my sister, go up to Boston, blah, blah, blah. But it was going to add a lot of money to the trip. And in my head was that treat yourself kind of a thing, right? But I started, when I thought about adding that leg of the trip, my throat started to close. And I was like, uh-oh, maybe just going to America for a couple of weeks is enough. But I was so torn about it because I didn't want to disappoint my kids and I didn't want to disappoint my sister and I didn't want this and this and this and I didn't want to spend this extra money and blah, 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 blah. You guys know what I'm talking about. Okay. As soon as that started, I was like, oh, okay, well, this is what happens when you try to make decisions. So it's not your decision to make anymore. And I literally asked God, what do I do? And the feedback I got was, you can make either decision. Either one is fine. You'll just feel out what feels right. And as soon as I was like, okay, maybe we should go to Boston, something in my body was like, you are not going. I don't know why. I don't know why we're not supposed to go, but I just know, like, there's an expression in Hebrew, ad kan, like, just until here, you have enough, this is fine. And you're going to just do the little bit, pay for the tickets. And I ended up saving like $2,000, which is awesome. But it wasn't because of that. It was because, like, God was like, you just need to do the basic and that's it. Now, in the past, I would have agonized over this. I would have called everyone I know and asked them for their opinion. I would have asked, I would have sought validation. I would have apologized and this and this, and is everybody okay? No, I asked God to direct my thinking and then relaxed and waited for the decision to come. And when I made it, it felt good. There is no struggle here. The minute I start struggling with something, I lose. It's like the food. The minute I get in the ring with that food, I lose. Game over. I have to knock it in the first place. Okay? We are often surprised how the right answers come after we have tried this for a while. Okay? We have to be still and quiet to hear God's voice and let it, just pay attention. It says the right answers come after we have tried this for a while. What used to be the hunch or the occasional inspiration becomes a working part of the mind. Again, this is a muscle that we build up. Being still and experienced and having just made conscious contact with God, it is not probable that we are going to be inspired at all times. We might pay for this presumption in all sorts of absurd actions and ideas. For example, I decided that because I was feeling religiously inspired, that I should pick up my whole family and move to a more religious community. And because I'm a bulldozer, I convinced my husband to do it. And it was a huge mistake. But I was sure God was directing me. No, it was just me, my will, just saying we should do that. Or my will saying I should try this different type of eating because it will totally work for me. Because I really feel like it's God's will for me. Our disease can sound like God. And we can convince ourselves that this disease is God talking to us. Okay, so it takes practice to learn to discern what's God's voice and what's mine. Okay. We might pay for this preserved. Yeah, we said that right. Nevertheless, we find that our thinking will, as time passes, be more and more on the plane of inspiration. We come to rely upon it. This is a huge statement that we come to rely on our own intuition. Because first of all, I never trusted my intuition, especially as a compulsive overeater, because I would say, I don't even want to do the things I'm doing. I do not want to eat. There was one day that I called in sick to work, and this was a dream job. I was working at Disney World, okay? I dreamed of doing this my whole life, and I had this amazing job, and I was so excited. And then the food took over and I would keep calling out sick to work to stay home and binge. And there was one day when I went to the convenience store across the street, bought my binge foods, came home, ate a lot of it, purged, and was so sick. And I'm just like, I'm never doing this again. I feel horrible. I never want to do this again. And then I got up 10 minutes later to go back and buy more food. Like, I couldn't trust myself. I didn't know what I was going to do next. That's terrifying. Like, I can't even, like, it's like living with a really unpredictable family member, except it's you, which is really scary. So the fact that I can put in a practice where my intuition grows to the point where I can rely on it and trust myself is a very big deal. But it's true. It's at the point now, because of the practice that I've been doing for so long, that I really can trust my own intuition. I do not need to ask other people. Now that's not true. I do use my sponsor and other fellows as sounding boards because sometimes my ideas sound great, but they're not so, it's not so great. But I don't need their permission. I don't need their validation. There's a difference. You know, I check in with people, like, for example, after this conversation that happened on our group chat this morning about this meeting, I called my sponsor and I'm like, listen, am I like off here? Like, am I breaking tradition? Like, what's going on? And she was like, no, you're cool. It's okay. Like, I can still do that because sometimes God works through the people in my life, especially people I choose to be mentors for me. But I wasn't asking her for her to tell me I'm a good girl. I was asking her to tell me, like, am I on the right track here? Because I already know I'm a good girl. I have a place. I am a beloved child of God. This is my place. I belong. I exist. I don't need to earn it. Okay? That's the difference. Okay, so now we're on page 87, second paragraph. We usually conclude the period of meditation with a prayer that we be shown all through the day what our next step is to be, that we be given whatever we need to take care of such problems. Okay, we ask especially for freedom from self-will and are careful to make no request for ourselves only. So there's been some confusion about this statement. Careful to make no request for ourselves only. We read the next sentence. We may ask for ourselves, however, if others will be helped. We are careful never to pray for our own selfish ends. For example, last night, like I could argue, well, I shouldn't pray for for the missiles that came at Israel last night to not hit us. I could. Is that selfish? Well, if I'm praying for myself, and if I say, I don't want the missiles to hit just me, then that's a problem. But if I say, I don't want it to hit anyone in Israel or Gaza or Syria or Jordan or anywhere, like, please just keep everyone safe. That's not selfish. That's not selfish. And if I say, God, I'll give you an example. I had this job that I was offered, and I wanted it. And I said, instead of saying, God, please give me this job, I said, God, if it's your will, please show me that this is the right job for me. And if it's not, please help me find the right job because it's my responsibility to help support my family. That's a prayer that has other people in mind while praying for myself because I do need a job. If I just said, God, give me that job, that's me assuming that that's the right job, the job I should have. What do I know? So we have to think bigger than just ourselves. Not that we can't ask for ourselves, period, but that it's not just about what we want. Okay? We are careful never to pray for our own selfish ends. Many of us have wasted a lot of time doing that and it doesn't work. You can easily see why. And by the way, this is where I'm putting in a plug for two-way prayer. For those who don't know about it, I'm happy to discuss it privately or send you links about it, whatever I can post in the group if you guys are interested. But basically the practice of two-way prayer is meditation, writing a question or a concern or a thought, and then answering it as if God were speaking. Because even though it's like, oh, I'm just talking to myself, really no, there is an intuition and something working through us that gives us answers to things and shows us the right course. And the more we practice it, the more we can discern what's our voice and what's not. As always, this is a practice. We do it every day. God willing, we'll do it for the rest of our lives. And the more we do it, the better we get at it. Okay, next. If circumstances warrant, we ask our wives or friends to join us in morning meditation. I have not had this opportunity with my husband. My kids, over the years, my kids have sometimes tried to join me, but they all have ADHD and they can sit for like 0.4 seconds. So it's not like meditation is going to go big with them. Maybe when they're older and they're all alcoholics, they can, try it themselves. But for now, they're not so interested. Okay. If we belong to a religious denomination which requires a definite morning devotion, we attend to that also. Okay, the word also is very important because when I had a spiritual experience as a result of working these steps, I was inspired to take on more in my religion and then started focusing on the Jewish prayers without the other stuff, thinking I was doing the right thing. And I felt more and more and more disconnected. It's not that doing those prayers in that morning routine was wrong. It's that it cannot replace the basic instructions they're talking about here first. We do this first on awakening. And then if you want to incorporate religious practices or spiritual practices or whatever it is you want to do, that comes after. Also, not in place of. Okay. If not members of religious bodies, we sometimes select and memorize a few set prayers which emphasize the principles we have been discussing. There are many helpful books also. Suggestions about these may be obtained from one's priest, minister, or rabbi. Be quick to see where religious people are right. Make use of what they offer. So this one was a tricky one for me because I don't trust religious people because they have an agenda. That was a big generalization, by the way. There are plenty of open-minded, understanding people in every religious body. And as our intuition grows, we will attract them. But like I turn to my sponsor and I turn to my friends and my mentors for feedback on things. I'm not looking for validation or a pat on the head about me being a good enough Jew or Christian or Hindu or whatever it is from religious people. I'm coming in and saying, listen, I'm looking for God. I am on a daily quest to bring myself closer. What does Judaism or Christianity or whatever have to offer me in line with what I'm trying to do? And please explain to me why, because I want to understand. Now, if it's a person who really will understand, they will offer incredible resources, which I have gotten over the years. Some of them I have really turned me on for a while. Some of them I'm like, this was cool, and for a few weeks, and then I move on. The point is, we find people who are in line with our goal, which is not becoming more religious, getting involved, giving money, any of those things. It's, I want to get closer to God. How can you help me? And there are plenty of people out there who are happy to help you do that. The question is, who? So all I can say is follow your intuition and ask God to send you the teachers, because they come, they do. For example, I became religious when I was 24. I'm not 24 anymore. But when I was 24, I became religious, and I ended up studying with some really, really religious people. Now, their intentions were good, but their intention was to make me as religious as possible, to get married to a religious man and have religious babies as quickly as possible. Now, if that's what I wanted and that would really bring me joy, then sure. But for me to just say to them, that's not necessarily what I'm looking for. Maybe I'll get there, but right now I just want God. I'm not sure they would have understood that. So I had to take a step back and find different kinds of communities that approached it in different kinds of ways. And thank God, within Judaism, within Christianity, there are all different kinds of, and the truth is, and Buddhism and Hinduism, there are so many different ways of coming at this thing. There's Baha'i, there's just like regular New Age spirituality. There's Unitarianism, there's all Zoroastrianism, like whatever floats your boat, go do it. Just find the people who will guide you in a way that is in line with what we're trying to do. That's my point, okay? As we go through the day, this is some of the best advice I've ever gotten ever, okay? As we go through the day, we pause when agitated or doubtful and ask for the right thought or action. How often do you pause when you are agitated or doubtful? I don't know about you, but I'm like a motorboat. I'm like, we got to figure this thing out right now, and we got to do something. We got to do a thing, because then I'll feel better. Like, we just got to make a decision right now. And my husband, it drives him crazy. I'm like, yeah, but we need to know. We need to figure it out right now. He's like, actually, we don't. And I had a sponsor years ago who told me, short of a hostage negotiation, no decision needs to be made within 24 hours. And I was like, yeah, but no decision needs to be made in 24 hours. My husband and I are still talking about where we're going to have Passover Seder, which is in about a week from today. We may do it at home. We may do it with other people. A year ago, I would have been like, yeah, but we need to know. I need to plan. I need to shop. I need to. Blah, 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 blah. This year, I'm like, listen, dude, when you know what you want to do, you just let me know. Okay. Just let me know what we're doing. Because I now know that the sacred pause is the secret to me functioning in a healthy way in this life. Also, agitation and doubtfulness veer me off course. If I'm supposed to stay clear in order to get instructions from God, and I'm too busy spinning in my own stuff to figure out what I'm supposed to do, how am I supposed to hear instructions? If I'm not supposed to know, I'm not supposed to know. It's not time to know yet. If it's not clear, it's not time to know yet. The answer will come when it's time to know. The end. And I'm just like, but that's so simple and easy. I hate that. I only like when things are complicated. I like chaos, okay? Okay, we constantly remind ourselves we are no longer running the show. lame, humbly saying to ourselves many times each day, thy will be done. When my kid starts complaining to me about the dog that I adopted and tells me that her breath smells and she needs a bath, I say, thy will be done. And under my breath, I say, and go fuck yourself. Okay. We are then, no, that's not true. I don't say that. I just say, I don't love you anymore. We are then in much less danger of excitement, fear, anger, worry, self-pity, or foolish decisions. Okay. So please look at this list. Okay. These things are dangerous. They've just been classified as dangerous. Excitement, fear, anger, worry, self-pity, or foolish decisions. Okay. These were my heroin, guys, like excitement, fear, anger, worry, self-pity, foolish decisions, and drama with a capital D. Like, what do you mean? This is how you live. This is like, what is your life if you're just sitting here? I don't get it. And by the way, when they use the word excitement, I don't think they mean joyful anticipation. For example, I'm excited because my stepdaughter is coming on today, hopefully tomorrow, depending on airspace. We'll see if the airport opens. And I'm excited. I'm looking forward to seeing her. That's okay. But if I'm like, I'm so excited, we need to clean the entire house because she needs to feel like, well, girl, let's chill. Okay. Like, that's not what this is about. Fear. Oh man. Fear is like that little voice that just convinces me of all kinds of things. Usually that we're all going to die. That's usually what it comes down to. Like, oh, my friend canceled on coffee today. That means she doesn't like me, which means I'm going to be lonely. And then I'm not worth anything and everyone's going to die. That's just usually where it goes. Okay. Anger. Oh man. When I'm in the heat of anger, it's like, I can't even see straight. I can't make any kind of logical decision. And I will say things. I'm a good speaker, guys. I'm good with words. I will say the thing that goes right in there, right through that crack in the ribs, right to the heart, you know? And then I have to make amends later. And a few times my husband's been like, I know you just said that, but you're going to come and apologize to me in like half an hour or so. And I'm like, worry, it's a variation of fear. Self-pity, oh, pour me another drink. Okay. And foolish decisions. So foolish decisions can be anything from, I'm going to eat this extra thing, to I'm going to double book myself and, because I'm so afraid of not having any plans. Like, these little choices that we make that add up to chaos in our lives. Okay. These things are dangerous. They just said. We become much more efficient, because remember, the goal here is not feeling good. It's efficiency. We are here to do a job. We want to be efficient. You hire someone, you want to hire the most efficient person. That's what we're trying to do. We do not tire so easily, for we are not burning up energy foolishly as we did when we were trying to arrange life to suit ourselves. And it's true. I find now that when I'm moving slowly and mindfully and carefully, I am not as tired as I used to be, even though when I wake up in the morning, my first thought is, when can I go to bed? Because I love going to bed. But I'm not sitting here obsessing about, how do I get this one to do this and this one to do this? And when I'm of service and I watch things fall into place, it's energizing for me. It's like a car battery that feeds itself. Like, by using it, you get more energy. That's how I feel like when I'm working with sponsees. When I'm leading this workshop, I'm going to be buzzing for the rest of the day. Like, when I see an opportunity to help someone, like, if we want our energy source, it comes from getting in line and getting rid of the things that sap our energy and send us in the wrong direction. It works. It really does. That's one of the shortest sentences in this book, and one of the most effective. Okay. Because remember, this is a sales pitch. This whole book is a sales pitch for sobriety and working the 12 steps. So it's sort of like a commercial, like, it works. It really does. Like, wow. Okay. We alcoholics are undisciplined. Yeah. So we let God discipline us in the simple way we have just outlined. But this is not all. There is action and more action. Faith without works is dead. The next chapter is entirely devoted to step 12. Okay. So now they're telling us we're not just aligning ourselves in order to feel better and have a nice, quiet, peaceful life. We're not here to be monks. We're here to go out there now and go help people. And thank you. 5 minutes left. Okay. Actually, I think I'm done. I think I'm good. I'm thinking about anything else oh, right. Okay. So I steal a lot of my material from a really amazing speaker, an AA speaker who I've quoted here before. His name is Sandy Beach, and I highly recommend you looking at him. on YouTube, even though he's an outside issue, but I'm running this workshop, so I don't care. But pretty soon that might not be the case. Anyway, so Sandy Beach says that our higher power, no matter what our higher power is sort of like an electrical current. We don't, whether we believe in it or not, or it's there. Just like electricity, right? Like, do you know how electricity works? Because I don't. I could call my dad and ask him, but I don't have like 4 hours for him to explain it to me. I'm not interested in understanding how it works. I just need to know that it exists. I need to know that when I plug in this computer into the wall, I get the computer works. That's what God, that's what so as I've said many times, I use the word God because I don't have another one. And frankly, I don't need another one because there is no word for it. But like higher power, that spiritual energy, that's creative energy in this world is there. It hums like electricity. It's there. Whether I believe in it or not, there is something at work here, clearly, because things are existing outside of my existence. The sun comes up and goes down every single day, according to certain rules. The tide goes in and out, which, by the way, I learned, did you know that it's not actually the moon pulling it? It's the earth spinning and then the water going in and out. Did you know that? I didn't know that. The more you know, guys. Anyway, I learned that this week. All right. So, these things exist and work by rules that have nothing to do with me. There are people out there doing things right now that I did not decide anything about. So there's something happening in this world that is making things work. My job is not to determine whether it's there, but just to plug in. Because as we know, this book is not here to sell us on whether or not God exists, but our need to have one. Okay? We already know that running life the way that we have does not work because you're here with me today. So if that's the case, we need to tap into that higher power. And that's what this step is about. Every single day, from the second we wake up, we plug into that energy and we let it run through us. And we know that we're going to get in the way. So we ask in advance, God, so some of you are a little younger, but like, in the old days, when I was a kid, and probably some of you were kids, we listened to something that was called the radio. And so when you listen to the radio, sometimes the signal would get a little fuzzy and it would be like, today is, and we're gonna, okay, so like, that's kind of what we do. We're on like the God channel every day, God willing. And sometimes we get a little buzzy because it's like, oh, but I think that, and this one said that, and I just think that, and I'm worried that, and then we sort of like move the knobs again and like, oh, okay, so the news is everything's okay and you're fine and everybody's protected and all you need to do is just move forward and do the next right thing. Like, that's what we're doing here every single day. It's a daily practice. We wake up in the morning and we tap in. We go through the day. We pause when we're agitated. We ask for help, ask for God to direct our thinking. We do not get caught up in excitement, fear, anger, worry, self-pity, or foolish decisions, even though they will come up, but we can at least start to get better at navigating them. And then at night we say, okay, I'm going to look back at my day and say, all right, how'd I do? How was the reception today? How many commercial breaks did I take? Was I getting in my own way? Sometimes you're going to have a day where you kill it. Like I've had days where I was just like, I'm sorry. I am like the recovery queen today. Okay. I am just killing it. I am like, they should have called this book the Rhea book. Like this is me working a program like a boss. Okay. And other days I'm just like, have I even been to a meeting? Like, have I even heard of the 12 steps? Do I even know what's happening? Have I read this book before? Like, I don't even know. So, but the point is like, you just keep going. You just keep going. And it says it, we do this every day. So with that, I will stop and I would love to hear what you have to say and your questions.
Thanks, Rhea. At this point, we will open up the room for open sharing of questions. If you would like to share or ask a question, please click the hand raise icon on your screen. You can also